happy to. I'm Michelle Tappouni. I'm running for City Council Group 5 at large. And give you a little bit of my professional background. I've been in the construction industry for more than 25 years. I started in a company as a receptionist secretary, when we called them secretaries, and learned the business from the inside out, worked my way up into human resources, accounting, and then eventually got the credentials and the training to be a project manager. So I've run projects out in the field, anywhere from $1,000 repair to a project that I worked on for SeaWorld that was over $15 million. So I've got a broad base of experience working in the business world, dealing with operations, making payrolls. I work now here in Jacksonville. I came back to Jacksonville to work with my sister. She owns breaking ground contracting, and we're a woman-owned firm. We do a lot of green building, sustainable building, and I'm her general manager. And also have been a project manager for her with the campaign. I'm a little less on the construction side because I just can't be as available to the guys in the field as I need to be. And then why I'm doing this, which is always a big question. I've done a lot of advocacy behind the scenes since I've been in construction. I've been an advocate for the industry and for small businesses. So on the local, state, and federal level, I've advocated for workers' comp reforms, contract and prompt payment, tort reform, and then a very brief period did some advocating up in Washington on estate tax reform. And that's kind of, so the politics have always been something, and I've been very civic minded for most of my life. And what really lit my fire with the political side for Jacksonville was I got involved with the Blueprint for Prosperity. And in that case, you go in talking about per capita income and thinking it's just going to be kind of a broad-based discussion, and you start getting these indicators and this information about where Jacksonville is in relation to the other cities that are similar in our size and scope, and we are failing in so many places, or not excelling where we could be. And that just kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things and started paying a little bit more attention to what City Council was doing and saying and thinking. And there were points I was hearing myself make comments during a meeting, either in chamber quietly or at home to the TV, and there's a point that you say, if I was there, I would have said, or I would have asked. And you've got to make a decision. Are you going to continue to think someone else is going to make that change, or are you going to put yourself out there and add your voice to the dialogue? So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Well, along those lines, what do you consider to be the core functions of local government?
The City Council, and you're hearing this a lot more, it's funny how all these meetings are starting because of the election cycle as a board of directors, and I agree with that. I think that it's our job to make sure that the things that the mayor's putting into place or wants to put into place that we're looking and reviewing with a fine-tooth comb. And I think it's important that we are stewards of the taxpayer money. I mean, our primary function is to make sure that we have things in place to help the city run and that we give the services to the people that are funding it.
Okay, so what are those things that you think the city ought to be doing specifically, providing as a public function rather than a private function?
Well, the number one thing would obviously be safety, making sure that the police and fire have the resources they need to protect us, to make sure if we call 911 that someone's at our house as quick as possible to save us or our loved one from some medical situation. I have a little bit different perspective over the last 6 months, to be quite frank with you. When I wrote out my original campaign information about safe neighborhoods, I believed in what I was saying but had never been the victim of crime. And for some reason, I've been a target for the last 6 months. I've been mugged in my front yard. I've been burglarized twice, and that just happened 2 weeks ago. So it's funny how these things will shift your perspective about where does money need to go and what do you expect to see and what do you want to have people do to make sure that you're safe. And if you're not safe, there's nothing else. So to me, that's a number one priority. And then, obviously infrastructure issues, making sure the garbage is collected, those core functions of what makes our quality of life a positive thing.
Okay, Don?
What specific savings do you believe can be found in the upcoming budget? Be as specific as possible about areas and programs such as Jacksonville Journey, JEDC, Cultural Council, special events, and public safety. And I can read this for you again.
No,
it's a big question.
I have not been in a position to review every line item in every budget, but my feeling, I will be right be frank with you, and I think my questionnaire was pretty upfront. I am not a believer in across the board cuts. I think when you say we're going to cut every department 5% or 10%, I know within my company and within my business experience, I have some departments that are much more efficient and have already done the things I've asked them to do as their manager, and I have other departments that need more scrutiny and probably need a deeper cut. So just doing a broad brush stroke is not my style. I'm more of a get into each different department, dig into it, and it's not just about meeting with the department heads, but really talking to the people that are working in those departments, what's working, what's not. And I think a big part of that is getting metrics in place. You know, we need to measure where our money's going and what we're getting back for that money. I think return on investment is kind of thrown around, but there is a way. You cannot apply everything from the private sector and the public sector, but I really do believe there are certain things that the city does do as a function that we can have those measurements and say, we expected this to happen, we only got to hear what's happening, and have those people that are responsible and accountable. Those individual entities, I do not know enough sitting here today to tell you I would cut, you know, $100,000 from Journey or $1 million from JEDC. I think each one of them has a function in the city at this point, and we would need to look at and review at what we are garnering with the work that they're doing and if they're being effective.
And Conrad?
What do you believe is the solution to the city employee pension problem, and what steps would you take as a council member to work toward that solution?
You know, the pension is a big issue, and it's a question on everyone's mind. One of the things that you learn as you get more into this process, I think sitting on the outside, you think you know what's going on and you don't. The more you peel back the onion, I know you guys appreciate that because you do a lot of that, you find out, well, okay, so the pension, as a normal citizen, who knows or doesn't know if the pension's being funded? We're not really paying attention to that on a day-to-day basis. So finding out the things about the pension holiday, and then also realizing the mayor's choice is what's going to be critical here, because they're the ones sitting in the room doing collective bargaining. As a city council person, my role will be to take what they bring me and look into it and peel it back and make sure that everything was done before we do the up or down vote. And so I think it's really just more about putting a critical eye. You know, when you look at the way the pension is structured now, you have to wonder who is in the room. Well, you probably know who is in the room, but how did they come to the conclusion that that was a sustainable plan? And that was something that no matter what the market, we all know, I'm old enough to know that there have been 3 recessions. And you know, things were great and they were looking at it when they were doing the collective bargaining, but when things don't go so well, we know those days are coming. There's always a peak in the valley. You know, not having a plan for the valley or anticipating the valley. I think that the vision just wasn't there.
Victor?
Are there any fees that have been put in place by the current government that you would attempt to reduce or remove, and how would you recover any revenue shortfalls as a result?
I believe on my questionnaire I answered that I would have voted for the garbage fee. And I said that based on the fact of the information that I was given as a citizen of the city, which is here's what it's costing us to collect garbage and here's what we're collecting revenue-wise, and those two are not meeting. And I feel if you're going to offer service, it at least has to pay for itself. I don't shy away. If I had a choice between someone saying we're going to add a tax and you have to trust me what I'm going to do with the money, no, that's not where I'm looking to go. But if you say I have a fee, this is, you know, it's this much per month and it's going here and it's only going to service that one issue or that one item, I'm a little bit more for those types of things. Until I get in there and dig in that budget to find out, was I given the right information? Are we not making money, or not even making money, but are we not breaking even on collecting garbage? We can't continue to operate as a city if we're losing money on even the basic.
What about franchise fee?
Again, I would have to look. I don't have a good answer for you on that yet.